Very much for attending this session. This session is titled as the experiences of professionals and alumni stories. I would like to thank everybody to attend this session and also specifically appreciate the panel members. In this session, we are going to go through the experiences that each of the alumni have had through their professions, and also how their education in ICEC has affected their professions as well as their life. So with that, my name is Dr. Masoud Ulfat. I'm the moderator of this session. I will introduce the panelists later. The topics of this session, I have requested our panelists to focus on the following topics. We have requested that they explain what is interesting about their profession and what are the educational requirements to go for this profession. We have different educations, different levels of experiences, and I wanted to make sure everybody explains that what are the educational requirements that somebody can get this profession, and also other requirements, perhaps non-educational requirements. And more importantly, I have requested everybody to focus on the fact that how their time in ICEC has affected their interest and their success in their profession. And also they give some very high-level recommendation to other alumni that might want to follow this profession. Of course, we have a very limited time here, and I'm sure everybody has very limited time to discuss and explain these topics. However, I'm sure our panelists would be delighted to answer your questions later on, especially the alumni. So our panelists are in the order Dr. Mahshid Taeb, Mr. Ehsan Karamat, and Mr. Farwood Fakhrai. I would appreciate their attendance. Very quickly introducing the panelists. Dr. Mahshid Taeb, she's currently in her third year and actually final year of her medical residency at Innova Children's Hospital in Fairfax, Virginia, in the field of pediatrics. And she's completed her undergraduate degree at the University of Maryland, College Park with double degree in cell biology and molecular genetics, as well as French language and literature. She completed her medical degree at Touro College of Osteopathic Medicine in New York City. She's an alumni of ICEC and has had many roles in this organization. At ICEC, over her 15 years of involvement, she was a student and editor of the school newspaper, the Blue and Red Birds, she's been a teacher's assistant as well as a member and later the leader of a Persian dance troupe. She likes to read, travel, watch basketball and football, and spend time with friends and family, and I appreciate her attendance. My second panelist is Ehsan. Ehsan's parents claimed that Farsi was his very first language, and that he forgot Farsi and adopted English once he started preschool. To this day, English remains his strongest language, but he began redeveloping his interest in Farsi after taking regular trips to Iran and also interacting with more native Iranians. He began attending classes at ICIC a little later in life compared to his classmates, and continued taking Saturday classes over there. He then left for University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where he earned his degree in Bachelor of Electrical Engineering while studying there. While studying in the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, he also took Farsi classes to build up his understanding of Iranian language and history. He currently works at Alcatel-Lucent as a 3GPP LTE test engineer. By the way, that's the profession I am in as well. And he's also taking part-time classes toward his master's in telecommunication at George Mason University. And finally, Farbod, which I have to read from here. Farbod he's currently basically an IT audit manager at the Department of Treasury. He has over a decade of experience providing consulting and auditing services to public and private sectors. He's a certified information system and project management, has a very strong technical background. Most of his background has been in federal, state, and local government, both as direct employee with Department of Treasury, NIH, and Montgomery County government, and as a contractor through Deloitte Consulting, Secure IT, and Dynamic Research Corporation, Department of Justice, DOS, DOD, DHS, TSA. Come on. Farbod graduated from University of Maryland Smith School of Business with a degree in Information System, and in his free time he likes cooking, tennis, hiking, yoga, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, motorcycling, surfing, and also he enjoys giving back to the community. You see that we have a vast spectrum of experience and interest here. So I would, in order to stay with the time frame, I have requested each panelist to spend between 7 to 7.5 minutes presentation, and then we go for the questions. What we'll do, we would first answer the questions who are written and given to the table. I'm sure everybody has some papers to put their questions, and then if you have time later, we'll go through the questions on the floor, and hopefully if you have time, I would ask every panelist to conclude between half or 1 minute and then. Thank you very much. With that, I would like Dr. Mahshid Taib to start with her presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. We have a really good turnout today, and I'm really happy to see this success. I wanted to start out by talking about what led me to what I wanted to do and what I feel like are the things in my life that led to my success. A lot of us have heard, probably through the sessions and growing up, that there's 3 career choices that you're allowed to have as an Iranian growing up. I did not grow up in a family that thought that way or pushed me to do anything. I grew up in a family that was very supportive. So I have my 3 keys to success are, I grew up in a very supportive Iranian family with parents that supported me no matter what I wanted to do and when I wanted to do it. I had a brother that was always there for me, and that sense of community and that sense of moral system built the foundation for me to be able to do what I wanted to do, whatever that may be in the future. The second thing, and all these things kind of lead back to each other, the second thing that led to my success is from having a good family and good morals and a good structure, led me to good people, and they're the people that I met in this organization. Being part of this organization taught me more than I will ever know about life at a very young age. It taught me community, it taught me values, it taught me language, and I feel like I had 2 parents, but I had a lot more than that at ICEC. Being a student, transitioning to being a teacher, transitioning to giving back to the dance troupe and part of the newspaper and all of that really made me who I am and made me very firm in my beliefs and firm in who I was as a person, a lot younger than I think a lot of other people did. The third thing is branching from all of that and being taught from a young age that who you are is good and who you want to be is good, and you need to channel that, is finding my passion and my drive, and I was lucky to do that early on. So I actually, there's no medical doctors in my family. I'm the first one that decided to pursue medicine. My family didn't know anything about medicine, and they didn't really know, I don't think, why I ever chose to do medicine. And a lot of the personal experiences I had growing up kind of led me down that route. So I'm going to segue into talking about what it takes to go into medicine and why you should or should not go into medicine. So the first thing that you, as a takeaway point for those of you who may be pursuing or thinking about pursuing a career in medicine, or those of you that have children that may be, is if it's not something that you want to do, if it's not your passion, if you don't have drive for it, don't do it. If it's for the wrong reasons, you will burn out quickly, you will hate every moment of your life, and you will not be happy, and there's not that much money in medicine anymore. So I developed kind of my passion and my drive early on. So I was able to tailor almost everything that I did from high school onward to that goal. To become a medical doctor, you have to take a series of prerequisite courses starting in college. So if it's something that you decide to do later in life, you have to backtrack and take college classes before you pursue. There's an entry test to get into medical school called the MCAT exam. From there, you do an application process into medical school. You apply far and wide and kind of hope that someone will give you a chance. There's interviews for that process. Once you have accepted that position into a medical school, you go on to the school. The 4 years of medical school are kind of a different experience, where the first 2 years you kind of sit in a classroom and you learn the basic science portion of everything that you'll see. And the second 2 years they throw you into the hospitals and say, now this is what you're actually going to do. During medical school, there's 2 board exams that you need to take. There's a series of 3 board exams that you need to take to be licensed. The third one takes place in your residency. At the end of medical school, kind of what I felt was really early, you are kind of pushed to make a decision about which specialty you want to choose. Now, medicine, kind of like any other specialty, it sounds like it's very narrow, but it's very broad in what you can do. And it's a choice that, again, going in and knowing what you want to do is a lot easier, but a lot of people struggle through the third year kind of differentiating what area of medicine you want to go in. Do you want to be a general practitioner? Do you want to be a specialist? Do you want to be a surgeon? Do you want to be in an office? Do you want to be in a hospital? There's a lot of choices that you have to make very early on. So once you make that decision, you apply to your residency program of choice in whatever specialty that you want to pursue. From there, life gets more complicated. You are offered interviews at certain programs. You go to those interviews and you have to go through a match. So the next 2 stages of your life are going to be a match process. So it's different from other careers where you choose a job, you interview, and you're offered positions, and you get to choose whether to go or not. You are interviewed, and then you have to submit a list of programs in a specific order that you want to go in. The programs do the same thing, and on a magical day they tell you, this is where you're going. And I'm going to get into work-life balance later, but that can be very difficult for work-life balance because you don't have a lot of control over where you end up if your choices are limited. You enter residency after you have matched into a certain specialty, and then you spend the next 3 to 7 years, depending on what specialty you choose, kind of learning everything you need to know about medicine. That is where I am now. I'm in my last year as a pediatric resident at Inova Children's Hospital, and I am working on my fellowship applications. I plan to pursue a career in critical care, so that will be another 3-year training process after this, and then I'll finally be done. So if you do those numbers, that's 4 years of college, 3 years of residency for me, and another 3 years of, 4 years of medical school, 3 years of residency, and another 3 years of fellowship. Back to my point of, if this isn't what you want to do, nothing is worth that many years of your life. So kind of going to the point of work-life balance, there's a myth, I think, that you can't have a life if this is your career choice, if this is your passion, you can't pursue it, and I want to dispel that myth now. There's no financial or moral or ethical or family or personal issue that should keep you from doing what you love to do. You can make anything work in any profession, and I am a testament to that. I've always stayed close with my family. I've always stayed close with this center. I feel like I've always been connected, even though I had 4 years in New York and coming back. And now back in the area, I'm able to do what I want to do and bridge my career in the way I want to do it, in addition to pursuing what I like. As far as finances, it is an expensive process. Medical school is anywhere from $36,000 to $60,000 a year, depending on where you go. So that's something to consider going in. I've enjoyed everything that I've done because I've had a good family, I've had good people around me, and I have had a passion and drive for what I want to do. And if that is where you go in your career, wherever you go in your career, as long as you have those 3 things, I feel you can be successful in anything that you want to do.
Very concise and on time, and with the great and very useful explanations. So with this, I pass it to Farbajan to go through his experiences and his experience, especially from ICEC. Thank you.
Thank you, Masood, and thank you, Machi. That was a lot of years of school, it sounded like. I'm a little bit more impatient. I just stuck with 4 years of college and then moved on to my professional career. Well, I'm going to tie everything in together. So ICEC was a big part of my life, both when I was here, and I also graduated from here, not because I graduated from, and also throughout my professional career. There are a lot of people in this room that had a big impact on my life. I want to say here, Rasa June was basically what got me my first job while I was in college at NIH, which was played a big role in me getting my next job at Deloitte Consulting after graduating. So I studied information systems, which is basically computers in business. I started in computer engineering because my dad did that. There was no push on me in being a doctor or a lawyer. I think that's old school. I don't know. I don't think that much is put onto being doctors and lawyers, at least from my experience, from what I'm hearing from the kids today. But anyways, I didn't like coding as a computer engineer, so I moved into information systems. And I was working at NIH, as I mentioned, thanks to Rasojun, who is a big part of what making this event happen today. As I mentioned, I'm also impatient. I was at Deloitte, and after a couple of years there, I was progressing and I was learning a lot of things, but I was like, I want to make more money, I want to have more responsibility, so I moved to a different company doing something that was more specialized and had more demand, which was IT auditing. And that was basically my strategy for the next few years until it's brought me to Treasury today, where I have a really good work-life balance and a good salary, and I enjoy what I do. IT auditing, a little bit about my role is I manage all the audits that are done within the Department of Treasury regarding to the IT security of the different bureaus. So we make sure we act as hackers and we check to see if everything is secure. It's kind of boring, but not much to talk about. So back to a little bit more about what ICEC has done for me. I think there's 3 major areas. One, I mentioned the network that Rasa, who helped me with my first job. The people here that, it's actually more of a community, I would say. Not only are there individuals that have helped, actually today, I was introduced to someone I helped with his resume and kind of helped towards getting a job, this individual named Rahim. And it was really cool. So on a side note, something I do in addition to the work I do at Treasury is help people get jobs. It's been something that I've been good at, and I actually started a company which was starting as a recruiting company with helping people with their resumes and getting jobs, and then turned into a staffing company. So not only have I received a lot of help from the community here, I'm also trying to give back as well. So that network and community that you build here is something that's very important, and it will continue to be important for me as well. And in addition to that, the culture. You learn things, I guess, when the things you learn from the people you meet here open your eyes to a lot more. And I'm sure we all have a similar culture at home, but seeing it and being a part of it is something that you don't really get unless you're in an organization like this. And that's also something that really has helped professionally. I mean, you work with different people from different areas and different cultures and backgrounds, and having exposure to that and embodying it yourself is something that's very important. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about passion, because that's something that all the panelists have been talking about. It's very important. If you, for example, I was going into coding and computer engineering, but it's just not what I wanted to do. So I left that. I didn't have that desire to do the 10+ years of school, so I decided to go somewhere else. As I felt there's an area that I enjoy, I worked towards going that direction. Helping people get jobs and achieve their goals is something that was really important to me, and that's why I kind of started the company towards trying to do that. So the takeaways, ICEC, the cool things that come with it are this network, community, and culture you get from it, and follow your passion.
Thank you very much, after this session. Good. Thanks a lot, Farbajan. It was very interesting. So our last panelist is Ehsan, as I introduced him. And in the meantime, I would like to ask everybody to, if they have any question. You have been passed some papers. I would appreciate if you write your question and pass it forward. With that, I would ask Ehsan to start his presentation. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Rofat, for the introduction. I am an engineer on the panel, and I guess the interests that you need to be an engineer are pretty much all summed up in problem solving. You have to be able to look at anything that's been made, identify problems with it, and the most important step is to come up with solutions to that problem. That's the service you deliver to people, that's what you're going to be doing every day, and that sums up the requirements of it also. If for anyone who wants to be an engineer, the degree process is you go in and it's an applied history of engineering. You look at everything that's been engineered, you do all the mathematics again, you learn why it's made the way it's made, you learn the problems that exist with it, and it's your job to come up with the next generation solution to those problems. So like all engineers, I create solutions. And in order to do that, an effective engineer needs to make innovative use of the tools available. Farsi is one such tool for me. I use it to help engineer the life that I want to live. Classes at the ICEC every Saturday help me to internalize the language structure and gave me some cultural and historical context to help strengthen the ideas that I can convey in Farsi. It was a place where I went to hone this very important tool. Now you may ask, if Farsi is a tool, what can you build with it? The answer is connections. Farsi allows me to connect with my Farsi-speaking family and co-workers in a more powerful way than I would normally be able to do so in English, because it allows us to share ideas that can only be shared in Farsi by Farsi speakers. I have seen only benefits from the ideas and values that I have shared with Farsi speakers. Firstly, I was offered a job immediately after graduation from college by a Farsi speaker. My employer recognized the value of having someone who spoke Farsi, another Farsi-speaking member of the team. He claims that Iranians tend to have a knack for working hard and learning quickly. So regardless of the truth of that statement, of course, the vein is there. And being able to speak Farsi allowed me to interact with that aspect of the culture by connecting with intelligent and hardworking Iranians and giving me the opportunity to harness that strength and bring it back to my team and increase the productivity. And at the same time, I'm contributing to the team. I'm helping my team members be more effective also. There are many Iranians who have great technical insights, but they cannot communicate it as well in English as Farsi. And so knowing Farsi is an important bridge to help connect different members of the team and help exchange solutions and come to the best solution for the team. Furthermore, there are many people in the workforce who have emotions that they can only effectively communicate in Farsi. And I give another outlet for these people. They can speak in their native language to me, they can tell me how they're doing, and they can explain their concerns to me as if they were back in Iran, and they feel more comfortable and more free to express themselves. And in return for this, in return for merely listening and being able to empathize with them, especially in the workplace, in return they show me much goodwill. And I have no doubt that their heightened sense of comfort and an emotional state will translate into more productivity for them and for the team. Iranians are very emotional people, and it's conveyed effectively. Emotion is very effectively conveyed through Farsi. Farsi literature and poetry invite the readers to think more about the world in new ways and immerses the readers, especially non-native Iranians, to new and powerful imagery. And more importantly, this beauty can be shared between any two Farsi speakers. One of the most memorable moments I have with my family is sitting on a hilltop together, next to a running fountain of water, overlooking the city of San Jose, lit up in the nighttime. And all we said to each other were quotes taken from the poetry of Omar Khayyam and the beauty of the natural world and how to live in the moment. This is a moment where passions are created and can translate into the passion necessary for creating solutions. Farsi is a connecting tool that I've used to bring more productivity and beauty into my life and into the worlds of Farsi speakers around me. And I owe that capability in a large part to my studies at the ICEC. Everyone who has studied at the ICEC has been introduced to this tool and can draw from it and the connections it provides to help engineer their lives into the solutions they are looking for.
Thank you very much, Sanjan. Very interesting presentation by all the three panelists. I think the takeaway, especially when it is related to ICIC, is what I'm hearing from the panelists is that the networking and communication has significantly helped them to go for the profession they are, and especially in shaping their interests. I'm sure Iranian community are a very closed group of people, and especially with the interest that Iranian people have in special professions and experiences. I think their interests have been shaped through this communication and networking, and I'm sure they are ready to give back to the community. With that, I would like to go to some questions that I have received, and then later, if you have time, we'll ask people on the floor to present their question. So, one question for Mahshid John. As a parent of a very young kid at ICIC, I hear kids make very good and long-lasting friends at ICIC. Is that the case for you and maybe your friends?
I think that's absolutely the case for me, and I think the previous panel tried to illustrate that point of, I think what keeps us going and what keeps us as part of this organization is the connections that we make. So you'll see that the kids that end up not wanting to come or not being a part of the organization are ones that don't make those connections. So I think the most important thing for me was coming in and finding a group of people that I grew with, I learned with, I danced with, I hung out with, and they became a part of my family. They still are. We cannot see each other for years, and when we come together, it's like nothing changed. We're the same people, we're kind of the same breed, and we think the same, and we all have carried that foundation that I was talking about through our lives together. And I think that's what's most important. So yes, I have a lot of close friends that I met through the center. I have a lot of people that are near and dear to my heart at the center, and that still are a big part of the center, and those are the people that keep you motivated and that keep you positive and encourage you to do whatever you want to do.
Thank you, Mahshid John. The next question is for Farwood and Ehsan. Thank you. So I read the question and I ask Farwood to start and then Ehsan. Both of you know about coding. In the world of the future, how important is having an understanding of coding, no matter what line of work one pursues?
Is this Puya?
Well, you're not allowed to do.
It's a good question. I think understanding of technology is essential in any field. I think someone mentioned something about the initial speech about education and how bringing technology to it would be helpful. And it was a very good question, and essentially that's very important. All technology is essential today, and understanding of it is important. Regarding coding specifically, if you do have an understanding of coding, for me personally, it's been hugely helpful to have that understanding because, for example, just anytime I'm at an interview, no matter if it's a high-level management position or whatever I'm speaking about, being able to understand that what goes down in the code is something that gives you a strength that is not common. I think it's very important.
Yes, with coding, I want to echo Farwood's point that it is very important. I guess some of the reasons that I think it is very important nowadays, even just basic understanding, mainly is that computers are so integral in every part of our lives now that I find that my understanding of how this computer is implemented helps me not get as frustrated with it when it doesn't work. And you don't want to just blindly accept, what you hear or what's being marketed to you about the things that you use. I mean, the more that you know about what you're using, I think the more fulfilled that you'll be. And another reason, computers have helped increase productivity, thousands or millions of times. Even just very basic coding skills can help you, organize files or create, dancing images or anything. It doesn't take a lot to understand enough code to do very, very small but very fulfilling programs. There's a good career path in it as well for anyone who wants to pursue coding and software engineering, so that opportunity is available. The only downside might be overstrain to the eyes. if you take it more than your body will allow, and so it's important to, on the one hand, understand a little bit of it, just enough to get by, and on the other hand, not to let it consume you, as it has for some people.
Yeah, thank you. Just because I'm also an engineer, I want to just echo my son Farwad's statement and add one point that the whole world is moving toward basically migrating from hardware to software. And by hardware and software, I don't mean necessarily computer. I mean, in general, the relationship between people, the human relationship, technology, medicine, everything is moving toward software. And in my field specifically, basically being in the field of communication, wireless communication, even in that field, you see that the actual connectivity and hardware is becoming a commodity, and you see more integrated services and softwares are becoming significant in this field. So not necessarily coding, but in general being in the area of software development, that's basically an integral part of any profession these days. It's not just computer. I'm sure probably you've seen that even in the area of medicine. There is a huge advancement in medicine in the past decade or couple of decades, and that's because of the advancement in technology and specifically software. So let me read the third question from Mahshi. At what point did you develop a sense of what specialization you wanted to pursue? Did you take more lifestyle or passion into consideration for being a pediatrician versus other specialties?
I think a lot of what I decided to do really did stem from ICEC. So a big part of the mission of ICEC is teaching young children morals and foundations that are going to help them through life. So what they do is they train you, and then they make you stay on and train other people, and then those people train more people. So it's kind of this circle of life that has always been a part of that. And I got into that, and I was a student, and I became a teacher, and I just couldn't tear myself away. So I always felt like what was important to me was kids. What was important to me was building the foundation for those people that you can make the most difference in their lives and change the world with how young minds think. Not to say that adults aren't good too, but. So I kind of had that idea, but I struggled with the concept of I always knew I wanted to be on the more acute care side of things. I'm more of a reactive person, working under pressure and that type of stuff has always been my forte. So I struggled with how I wanted to incorporate that. So for a period of time I thought I wanted to go into emergency medicine until I walked into an ER and knew that's not what I wanted to do. So I decided that I was going to do what I loved and what I had a passion for, what I thought was really important, and then decide from there how I was going to make it tailor it to what I wanted to do. So I went into pediatrics not really knowing what critical care entailed, what it was, what you could do with it. And then I was really lucky to have a really great set of mentors that kind of fostered what I liked and guided me towards where I would probably thrive the best, and that's making a difference in a child's life at a point in time where they need it the most is where I decided to go. So I feel like I've always wanted to do this, but it took me a longer time to get there because I didn't know that my niche existed, which I'm sure is very common for young people. You kind of feel what you want to do, but you don't know the options you have. There's in any specialty, in any field, it's undifferentiated at first. You have to pick a global field, and then you have to find your niche within that field. that's how I chose.
Thank you, Makshijan. Let me ask two more questions. The first one from Ehsan and Farod about what made you go through basically getting experience even before going to graduate. So what was in your mind to decide after you finish your undergraduate to go either for graduate school directly or go to work? Can you quickly explain?
For me, I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to do in undergraduate. I never really developed a specialization within electrical engineering. And I had a hard time deciding. And eventually the best opportunity that was there available for me was the job offer that I explained in my speech. So it was clear for me. Something I needed was just someone to just tell me, here's what I want you to do, and that's what helped me. I feel like I might have been successful even as a graduate student. I just couldn't decide where to go, and so it all canceled out.
Thanks.
I think I developed my career path as I went. I didn't, like in doctor or engineer, it's a set plan. I didn't think I wanted to go in to get my master's right after graduate. I wanted to get some work experience. And to this day, the people that are in this room, I mentioned Rasa June, who helped me with my first job, they would still say, Farod, go get your higher education, go get your MBA. And I've done those steps to get it. I've applied and I've been accepted in several programs, but it just hasn't been the right time for me to do it yet. And that's just what I think. My parents might disagree, but I think that I basically chose my major, changed my major from engineering to computer information systems while I was in school. I thought I was going to stay at NIH where I was until like senior year, second semester, late in the game. Then I was like, okay, I need to get into something. And I made my path as I went. Now I'm planning longer term ahead, and MBA higher education is on the horizon, but for me, that's what led me out.
Thank you. And my last question from Makshijan. You mainly focus on your profession as a doctor, but we saw that you also have a degree in French language and literature, and especially knowing the fact that one of the missions of ICEC is learning another language to the kids. So I want to ask you about your experience there and how ICEC shaped your interest in that major, and whether you are pursuing that right now.
So I think language is important no matter what you do. So language has always been kind of a cornerstone of a lot of things that I've pursued. So growing up being bilingual and being able to speak two different languages, I always thought was positive. And actually the principal of our school is trilingual and does a lot of things with French. So I think that was my initial interest in other languages. When I went to college, I knew I wanted to do medicine, but my biggest fear was getting trapped into a one-track career with a one-track mind and being one of those people that can't talk about anything other than medicine. So one of my goals always in life is to have a huge life outside of medicine, or huge life, and I think for any profession, outside of what you do. So I went to, during my undergrad, I said I could either be a different major and do all my pre-med requirements, but I was able to do both. So I wanted to get the culture, another culture under my belt, which has helped me hugely in medicine. French and Spanish are very similar, so kind of tying those two together. You have patients here that speak all different types of languages, and the more understanding that I had of different cultures and how different things relate to each other has kind of helped me. So I've tied all of that in.
Thank you. So I would like to ask if there's any more question from the floor. We have a few more minutes, and then please go ahead.
Was there any mentoring offered to any of you while you were at the ICEC? And in turn, maybe even outside of it, have you embraced mentoring, and have you taken the opportunity to mentor other students as you've grown in your careers?
You want to answer?
I have a few points on this. Definitely mentoring has been important. Nassim Ebrahimi, who's on a separate panel, helped me with my SATs. As I mentioned, from Rasa June is who brought me to my first job while I was in college. And Nahir Ebrahimi, who was my first boss, has been a mentor until this day. He was my boss at NIH, which was over 10 years ago, and he's been a mentor for me since. And I think that's kind of what made me want to give back through my career coaching.
And going along with his point, I had talked about this, school kind of functions like a circle of life. They make you mentors. So whether you want it or not, we all have mentored someone and been mentored by someone along the way. And that's kind of the cornerstone or purpose of this whole event, is bringing everyone together and again, encouraging all this. So I think it has played a huge role.
Any comments?
Yeah, I agree with everything they've said. I mean, the mentoring for me has extended all the way up from the adults to the teachers to myself. Not officially mentoring people, but you develop a sense of community where if you find someone who could use help with Farsi or anything in general, you feel like you need to help, and you feel satisfied when you do.
Thank you. Is there any more questions? Okay, we have 4 more minutes to finish the session. I would like to ask every panelist if they have any final statement. Please, you have about half a minute or 1 minute to say. Is there any comment from each panelist? Quick comments?
Yeah, thank you all for coming here and engaging with us. I guess to reiterate my point from the engineering aspect, everyone, students and teachers and parents and community members alike should use whatever tools that are available to them. Farsi has been a good tool for me, and I continue sharpening it like any other tool, but I'm happy I have it.
I think the last question just made me want to reiterate what was said. Basically, the community that's been built here as mentors has developed me in a big way. So I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and also all the individuals in the room and the community as a whole who've helped me along the way.
I also wanted to thank everyone in this room, my parents especially, for everything that they've done for me to make me who I am. I think my take-home point is have fun in everything you do and every day of your life. Make your work your fun, and then you're always living and you're always having a good time. And if that can be your mission every day of your life, then you never miss a day of your life. And if you can encourage other people by getting back to do the same, then you're making a difference one step at a time.
I would like to appreciate everybody to attend, and especially our panelists. And I want to, on behalf of ICEC, to present a very small token of appreciation to each panelist.